Alright, so it's summertime down here in Florida, which means heat, which means a big pain in the ass for the Vmax. Basically from the factory, another thing that they did is, right up there, we see the H in the red line, about, well, I say 1/8 of an inch below that, the gap between the black and the red line is when the fan comes on, if not 1/16 of an inch, so it gets pretty damn hot before that kicks on. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this little cover off here, and we're going to expose the thermostat switch that basically turns on that fan. And what I did was, I went ahead and bought a nice new thermostat switch. This is supposed to allow that fan to kick on at the 3 o'clock position, which is a lot cooler than what it does. It's a nice OEM plug, so I'll go ahead and get some dielectric grease on those teeth before I hook this up. So I need to remove the old one, and I'm imagining I'm going to have to have like a catch bucket or something, because I'm sure some of the radiator fluid is going to want to drain out. So we'll let that drain out of that hole, and then we'll get this replaced and get it back in and put the radiator fluid back in. So if you guys have the Vmax, go ahead and take the faux tank cover off. Of course, you gotta leave the key in when you do that. That's going to expose the top screw and the front screw that allows this panel to come off, and that's the one we're taking off. And again, we'll just add a little drop of Loctite when we go ahead and put that back on. Shorter one on the top, this one on the side. And the cover, right here with those removed here and here, I'll go ahead and just take this thing right off. Okay, so there's like this little rubber thing down here. I had to go ahead and disconnect that. And then here's the culprit right here. So we're going to end up taking off just this cover here and stuff too, so that we can get to the thermostat switch that's in here for the fan. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Okay, it's just a little rubber tab with teeth, and you just kind of pull that through, and it makes a nice seal around here and stuff. It has to do with heat dissipation and all that. That leaves this here, which is in the way. Just kind of pull this off. Nothing big there. And this is what's coming out. So I'll disconnect the power first, and this is the plug that we're changing. So this new one here needs a 22 to go ahead and install this one here. I don't have a split 22 like you would for, say, an oxygen sensor, so we can make room for this. I'm not going to hack this up, so I'll probably just use something like this. So already there's a snag as far as getting this thing out, because there's not a whole lot of room between here and here. I do have various other size sockets, so I'm going to see if I do have one that'll fit this. Come up here and I can actually take this one off. Again, just a little fluid will come out, so I'll try to set up like a little catch tray down here. And just putting the new one on, I'll just make sure I take my time. This is actually bigger, so let's see if I have a socket for this one. Okay, so for the stock, it looks like a 24. I just happen to have this because I had to buy it for the Saab's oil filter cover. It's one of those ones that takes an insert. So this is what you basically need to go ahead and get the other one off. So let's give that a go. And at the same time, like I said, let me grab some sort of little catch can, because there's got to be some fluid that's going to want to come out. And I'd rather try to go ahead and catch it instead of making a big old mess. Worst case scenario, I washed the bike again today. I got to find out what kind of fluid. I think it's the green that I have. And I do have some fresh stuff, so whatever I take out of here, I'm probably just going to replace with fresh. I'm not going to put the old back in. Level's good, right where it should be on the overflow. I went ahead and flushed and changed this not too long ago, and then added an additive to the antifreeze and stuff to make it so it runs cooler. So anyway, let's see here. If we take this off here, let's see if this already starts with the big mess. Oh, so far so good. Yep, it's the green stuff, and I do have some of that special just for the bikes. So I'll give this a rinse. Again, some of that's going to come out, not that big of a deal. And we'll go ahead and catch it, put this all back together, top that off, start it, and let it burp itself, just in case any air gets into the system. It shouldn't. It should, right where that arch is between the two hoses and the silver kind of like coolant manifold. That's what primarily should actually drain. The bubble should rise to the top, but anyway, some is going to come out of that. So let's see what I can do. Let me go ahead and get this cracked and get some sort of drain down in there to go ahead and catch this, and I'll walk you guys through it. Alright, so we've got the socket. Again, some of that's going to drain. I'm going to use this little guy here. Anytime I'm about ready to toss out an old container or one that was just a spare, I go ahead and put it under here when I take it out and let this basically drain. Hopefully not make too much of a mess. So let's see how that works. One of the things I like to do once it gets loose is just use the socket. It gives you more leverage to go ahead and crank this out, because I think this has got a little thread sealer on it. I'm not sure, or maybe it's just been on there a while. So just use the socket to basically give yourself some leverage there to pull the rest of this plug out. Okay, so the plug just dropped right into the old bucket here. A little bit of dirt, so it doesn't hurt to put some little bit of fresh stuff in there. I'll go ahead and rinse the socket off, and again, it didn't use up a whole lot. That's what I kind of figured. Get that stuffed up in there. You see this a little bit drained out of there. So like I said, we'll go ahead and top that off with fresh. I'm just going to let that paper towel suck up whatever's in there right now, and then we'll get ready to put the new one in. Okay, so that's rinsed off. There's the old one there. There's nothing wrong with it, so of course I'm going to keep it. And then it doesn't hurt to just kind of make a comparison. Yep, that's the same thread. And we'll get this one in here. But let me get some dielectric grease to put into that female end of the connector. Cannot stress enough dielectric grease. I use CRC just because I was able to find it. Any dielectric grease is good to put in the female end. Again, you've got rain, water, when you wash the bike, hose water squirts in there. And it's just a really good thing to go ahead and use to make sure that you get good conductivity, no corrosion and all that stuff. So guys, just you know, spend a couple dollars or whatever it is, get the dielectric grease and use it every time you pull an electric connector apart. Now put that back in there before you put the two pieces back together. That is aluminum, this is brass, so I'm going to use a little additive here. Just fit it, and then just to get it going, and then I'll pull it back out, get the anti-seize back on there, just in case by some freak chance it doesn't work, it doesn't have anti-seize all over it. So we'll do a quick test run, and then we'll put that on. You know, actually, this is like a 10 to 15 minute job, but filming and doing this makes it a lot longer. So this is the anti-seize compound, and again, we'll put that in there, snug it up, reattach it, get the fluid back in, and then now my bike should run cooler, and the fan should come on right there at the 3 o'clock position instead of up near the H. You guys have a Vmax, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, so in order to get the, since I can't use a socket and have to use an open-end wrench, I need more room to be able to get at this. I did tighten it hand tight, so I'm going to use some duck bills here to go ahead and squeeze, so open this up, get ready to catch any fluid that might be in here. That way I can come at it at an angle, hopefully give myself more room, and I can go ahead and tighten that up. Now you could, I guess, pull all this off if you wanted to, but I'm trying to use the less intrusive way to do this. So let's have a look. Alright, fluid dynamics says when you lower a hose lower than the level of the water, then it basically starts to come out. So I did do some splashing. I'll have to do a little cleanup here when I'm done. Hopefully I shouldn't have to wash it though. It wasn't too bad, but it gives me a little bit more room. I'm going to make sure I don't damage this portion here, but I should be able to go up at an angle and at least give this a good snug. Hey, so far I'm having the damnedest time trying to do this. I may end up having to butcher a socket, but I even got one of these here so I can get in there, but the sidewalls are too thick. So it doesn't really give me a whole lot of room. There's one point where I can get it in, but then I can't turn it because, again, it's hitting the sidewalls of the wrench. So, I don't know, I might have to end up taking this off, which would be a drag. So, let me see what else I can come up with. In between here and here, they kind of made this a pain in the butt because of this. The other one from the factory, a socket went right on there, but I can't get that through a socket. So let's see what else I can come up with to help you guys in case you run into the same thing. What a pain in the rear end. Alright guys, it wasn't easy. It's kind of a pain, but you can do it. Use some channel locks. Got them behind here. Grabbed them right here. And actually would twist a little bit until I had just enough room to get the wrench in there. And I could bring that back around. So I went between these two here to get that tightened up. Now I just need to clean it because of course the anti-seize gets everywhere. Then go ahead and put the plug in, top it off, and you know what, that's done. So again, it should take you about 10 minutes, as long as you know what to do, unless you have one of those special sockets that has a slit for a wire. I don't. So like I said, I went between channel locks and an open-end wrench, and I was able to go ahead and get that tightened down. It's got an O-ring, so all you have to do is get it snug. And of course, if you use anti-seize, it acts like a thread sealer too, which is nice. So that's pretty much about it. So as far as installing, so we'll go ahead and get some fluid in there. Guys, if you ever top off with water, please do not use tap water. Go spend the 99 cents and get a whole gallon of distilled water. That way you've got pure water with no minerals and none of that stuff in there to go ahead and eventually start clogging up your system. So like I said, I'll get this together, get that topped off, and we'll burp it until there's no more bubbles coming out of here, and before it gets hot, that is. And then we'll put the cover on, and then between the overflow tank and stuff, if there's anything else, I should be able to suck that out if it needs it. But we'll let it run after we get it hooked up and cleaned up. I did get these little inserts a while back, and thank God none of the radiator fluid just went down in there. Not that's the end of the world, but just one less thing I have to clean. Plus, I don't like seeing holes that can collect dirt and dust. So, anyway, we'll get this finished up. Alright, so that's the plug there. That little plastic bit, the black one that I took off of here, should be able to support that little bit of a wire, clean this whole thing up, and then we'll go ahead and get it started. So I do need to get some fluid down there. I'm going to probably give that a wipe out before I do that, just to make sure there's no debris or any type of buildup that's on there. So what I took out of the Vmax was the yellowy greenish stuff. I'm using Xerox here, pre-diluted, do not add water. Again, if you do, I practice what I preach. Distilled water, guys. Again, what is it, like 99 cents for a gallon? Just leave it in the garage for when you need it. So I'm going to put some of this into a cup and slowly get it into the reservoir. We'll start the bike, let it burp a little bit, top it off as needed. Then I can go ahead and put the cap on, let it continue to run, and then we'll test on when the fan comes on. We'll let it go ahead and heat up. Shouldn't take too long because it is hot as heck in here today. Alright, I don't know if you guys can hear me over this, but as advertised, about 3 o'clock, the fan just kicked on. So that's about an eighth of an inch, to a quarter, actually it's about a quarter of an inch less than what it used to come on. So that means the bike's going to be running cooler from now on. So that's great. That used to make me nervous as hell when this thing would be creeping up into the red and the fan wasn't on yet. So, about $70 well spent. I'll put a link, and I couldn't be happier, man. Anyway, you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification for future content, and I'll try to go ahead and get this one on YouTube just as quickly as I can. Time to put it back together.